Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm here today with our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins, our Deputy Director of Operations, Emily Saltzman, and also with Andre Thompson, who is Vice President of Impact Programming for Feeding Westchester. We'll be joined on camera in a few minutes by Heather Miller, who's Director of the Thomas H. Slater Center here in White Plains. And we're here to talk about food insecurity in Westchester County and collectively what we are trying to do from the private sector, the not-for-profit sector, and those of us here in county government. It is an issue that has really been hidden for many, many years, and I think only in the last few years, perhaps because of the COVID outbreak, do we really understand how much food insecurity there is in a county of 1 million people that's identified as one of the wealthiest counties in the United States of America. And even in some of the wealthiest communities, there is sort of a hidden element of people who every night go to bed without having been well fed, have children that have not been well fed, and those efforts made to try to address that issue is really what we're here to talk about. When I came into office, Ken, Emily, and our administration in 2018, we understood that we needed to address this immediate priority. I've been benefited by the talented people of this administration. Leonard Towns, who's with us here today as our Commissioner of the Department of Social Services. We have with us Susan Weissman, who is the county's food security coordinator, and they've been on the firing lines of trying to help us figure out how to take resources and apply it in the most productive way. Because what we're looking to do is help address a problem, not just do activity for show. And we know that all across the county there are food pantries. There's a mobile food van that serves a couple of our communities. And in every one of these situations, we know that there's a need that exists, which is not always available for us to see in a very clear and present way. Over the last 5 years, Westchester County government has invested $10 million in resources and support that includes launching a strategic food security initiative. It combines direct funding with capacity building support and resources, which has created a direct line into this county for food pantries to let us know what those changing needs are. The architect of this effort, to the greatest extent, is Emily Saltzman, our Deputy Director of Operations. I'd like for her to say a few words, and then right after that, I'm going to introduce Andre Thompson with Feeding Westchester, which is the key partner in this county in helping deal with food insecurity. But first, our Deputy Director of Operations, Emily Saltzman.
Thank you, County Executive, for the opportunity to lead this effort on behalf of the people of Westchester County. We've just finished the holiday season, and we all know how food brings families together, no matter what the celebration. So I'm so pleased that the funding that we've provided to local food pantries and to Feeding Westchester enabled many needy residents to have fresh meat, produce, and the foods of their cultural traditions as part of their family celebrations during the holidays. These feeding programs take a small amount of pressure off of our seniors, working families, and others struggling with high costs in recent years. They are an essential source of support for our communities, and this is why we have invested over $10 million in county funding, as well as dedicating ARPA and CDBG funding toward this effort since 2018. Many individuals have contributed to this effort, and I'd like to highlight them. First, I'd like to thank Susan Weissman, who has done an outstanding job in the role of Food Security Coordinator by educating the administration and assisting the pantries. Her work with these organizations has made it a true partnership, and we have worked with the network of food pantries and Feeding Westchester to distribute information on important programs during COVID, certainly on child care, on the eviction prevention ERAP program, and how to access SNAP benefits. So thank you, Susan, for all the work you do with the pantries and for this government. I also want to thank Amy Morbido, Ariane Vela, Carla Prilo, and John Estro, under the leadership of Commissioner Lopez in the Planning Department, for doing over 60 grants, with numerous administrative obstacles thrown in their path to pantries large and small. And thank you also to the finance department staff who handles the payments and Tony Fasciano from the comms team for pulling this together. It's truly been a team effort. And finally, I want to thank and highlight the staff and volunteers of the over 200 pantries in this county and the feeding programs that serve over 220,000 residents per month. Your kindness and dedication represents the best of Westchester County. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Thank you, Emily. The issue isn't one that you just find in the numbers or in a report that comes to you. I've had the opportunity, as has Ken, to go out into the community to see what the face of food insecurity looks like and the people that are there. I've been online at Ridgeway Alliance on a Tuesday or a Friday afternoon here in White Plains. I've been at the Trinity United Methodist Church over on South Lexington Avenue when they greet people to try to help them with their food insecurity. I've seen the same thing at the Larchmont Mamaroneck Hunger Task Force and their new operations now that are located on Mamaroneck Avenue just south of the Thruway. I've had the opportunity to be at Hope Community Services in their downstairs area, their cafeteria area in New Rochelle, and to talk to people and to see how the food is prepared and delivered. I've had the opportunity to be with Blanca Lopez in the parking lot at St. Peter's Church in Port Chester, and I've been with Sue Weissman in the parking lot of Isaac Young Middle School in New Rochelle. In every one of those places, what are we trying to do? To understand what is the actual need on the street, and how do we shape public policy, the funding and the delivery to try to accomplish the end product. To do that, we have a tremendous partner in Feeding Westchester. Karen Aaron and her team have done a brilliant job, and I'm very happy to be joined here by Andre Thompson, who will speak a bit on the role that Feeding Westchester plays in this overall picture. Andre?
Hello, I'm Andre Thompson. I'm the VP of Impact Programming at Feeding Westchester. Thank you, County Executive George Latimer and Deputy Executive Ken Jenkins, Emily Saltzman, Sue Weissman, so many others as part of your administration that we work with closely to address food insecurity in Westchester County on a regular basis. As the largest hunger relief organization in Westchester County, Feeding Westchester serves at the heart of a network of close to 300 partners and agencies in nourishing our neighbors in the fight against hunger. And vital to achieving our mission is the partnership and support of the county. With your support, along with our partners across the county, in New Rochelle, in Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, you mentioned some of them, we were able to distribute 21 million pounds of food across the county last year. Through food pantries, through soup kitchens, serving on average 200,000 client visits on average per month. To children, to seniors, to people with disabilities. A work that I don't have to tell you is vitally important. Together, getting food into the households at risk of hunger. Together, we not only provided food, but we are, through your support, building up the capacity of our partners across Westchester in operation support, in equipment, tools, vitally important, right, in supporting the need across Westchester. And so together we're not only addressing hunger, we're creating pathways out of hunger, working with the administration on SNAP enrollments and so many other initiatives. Together, we are Feeding Westchester. Thank you for this partnership, and thank you for all that we're doing together to serve the community.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to ask Heather Miller, who's with us here from the Thomas H. Slater Center, to join us at the microphone. I made the point about how we try to get out into the community to see it for ourselves, but Heather lives this on an ongoing basis. The people that are served from the White Plains community by the Slater Center have a variety of needs. Food is just one of them. And the Slater Center tries to do so many different things. We've been there, Ken and I have been there for so many different types of services and programs. Yet on a regular basis, people line up because without the Slater Center's services, they would go hungry. Their kids would go hungry. So Heather, please come and tell us a little bit about what it's like in the real world.
Thank you, George. Good afternoon. I am Heather Miller from the Thomas H. Slater Center, which is located here in White Plains, a hop, skip, and a jump from here. We are a community center which has programs such as a food pantry, senior drop-in center, the Haitian Resource Center, Girls and Boys Group, and we host a Narcotics Anonymous group, each of which our beneficiaries is a beneficiary of the food which is provided through our food pantry. Now, food insecurity is real, and the county is addressing. Thank you, George. Thank you for all that you're doing for this. We received a grant of $20,000 last year, which allowed us to purchase equipment and purchase additional foods. But it did more than that. It gave our clients dignity, where they come in and they're able to pick up food in a way that's so dignified. So I thank you again to the county. We operate Monday through Friday. Our biggest and best day is on a Thursday. We have about 150 to 200 people who are online, who come in and make a choice of what they want. So we call that our choice day. And they choose what they want with dignity. Most of our food comes from Feeding Westchester, and we could not do it without you. So we thank you to Feeding Westchester. It is through a grant in 2020. Susan, thank you. A grant from Westchester County. We received a grant back then that allowed us to start the food pantry. And this is how we have grown. We grew from a small pantry, and now we are serving about 250 people per week. And this is 250 people magnified by 3, 5 in a family. So do the math and see how many people we serve per week. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. In our respective public careers, prior to being as part of this administration, at various times, both Ken Jenkins and myself had the privilege of chairing the Westchester County Board of Legislators. I must admit, because of my superior age, I did it longer ago than Ken did. Ken did it more recently. But both of us dealt with the legislative side of trying to marry public policy in a positive direction. And he's dealt with this issue over his career as well. So Ken, please share a few thoughts about this issue.
Thank you, George. And this is another great example of all the partnership that works together. And whether you start with Commissioner Linda Towns, that we have to thank for the work from the Department of Social Services, and then working with the Food Security Coordinator, right? You're like, hey, wait, you have that in Westchester County, the Food Service Coordinator, to make sure that we're working with the over 200 partners, and certainly the Department of Planning, making sure that we're able to get those contracts out in a most creative way, as Emily Saltzman was pointing out. The reality is that this is another example of how taking the thoughts of making a change for the people in Westchester County, and Heather Miller pointed that out, trying to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the community, as well as doing that with the dignified way that people are entitled to. You know, when people have food insecurity, it's not because they want to have food insecurity. And our partners at Feeding Westchester have done tremendous work with the almost 300 people, 300 agencies around Westchester County, in making sure to deliver 21 million pounds of food throughout Westchester County. The county executive says, as we go around the county and we see these different examples of how the things are working together, working with our partners on the County Board of Legislators to make sure that we're delivering those dollars. But again, without the leadership and the vision from the county executive, and then with a great individual like Emily Saltzman to put that together with a great team of people, that makes the difference every day. And it's making a difference for us helping to feed Westchester. Thank you so much, George.
Thank you, Ken. To recap, Westchester County government is committed to working with our partners, Feeding Westchester, with all of the different local organizations. Some of them are churches, houses of worship, some of them are not-for-profit organizations, and there is corporate backing for the work of Feeding Westchester as well. We want to thank those corporate donors that make this available, some in the food industry, some in the restaurant and hotel industry that make food available. All of this to try to address a need that isn't going away at whatever size and scope it is, whatever we've seen that existed before COVID, amplified by COVID, and still that exists today. We have a responsibility as we see it to address these things. I quoted from Matthew 25, scripture, sacred to those of us who happen to be Christian, but I think common sense for all of us. When we talk about the needs of someone and meeting them, in that particular verse it says, Lord, when did I see you hungry and give you food to eat? When did I see you thirsty and give you drink. And when you did this for the least of my brothers, you did it for me. That is exactly what Heather Miller is doing at the Thomas Slater Center. That is exactly what is happening with Meals on Main Street in Portchester. That is exactly what is happening in the church in Peekskill that does this important delivery. And so our mission here, the operational skill of Emily Saltzman, Leonard Towns, Blanca Lopez, the people that work for them, and Sue Weissman, the administrative skill backed by the policy decision to allocate public money to do this, to complement, not to supplant, but to complement private sector and not-for-profit sector resources is what addresses this issue. And this is not just having a good position. This is not just a speech. It's not just rhetoric. This is trying to get to real results in the real world to help people. And I don't know what could be more important than that. We have a public service announcement that we'd like you to watch for a couple of minutes, and we think it summarizes everything that we've said today. Through the Westchester County Food Security Initiative, we are working to provide resources and support to food pantries like the Thomas H. Slater Center in the heart of White Plains that is always ready to lend a helping hand and provide healthy food options for individuals and families. Struggling with food insecurity is not a journey you have to navigate in the dark. Together, as a community, we can bring light to those facing difficult times and ensure that no one walks this path alone. Westchester County remains committed to fighting food insecurity. Will you join us in spreading the word? Let your friends, neighbors, and loved ones know that help is available and hope is within reach. Call 211 today to learn more about food programs near you.